What's up, you all? How's it going? How's it going? This is about Ethiopia. The social scene in Ethiopia, coming from an inner work perspective, from a shadow work perspective. So, yeah, there's not that many videos about how to socialize, how to talk, how to mingle there with the Ethiopians. But one thing I found out is that, okay, Ethiopia, the good things about Ethiopia is that people are they are very religious. That is what I like. They're very close to God. They believe in spirituality. Compared to my own country of Denmark, it's hard to find people who are spiritual. It's not hard, but it's not. How can I say? In the grand scheme, where you go out there, like when you take all the people there, right? It's not easy. It's not easy to find somebody who's like, yeah, I believe in God. I believe in spirituality. I believe in the higher powers and stuff like they're not that much into all the shadow work, and they're more in Denmark. People are more like, okay, they just, okay, you meet them, you talk with them, and they talk about the normal things, they joke around. But when it comes to spirituality, meditation, all those kind of things, that aspect, not only about God, not only about religion, it's just really not the easiest place. But in Ethiopia, okay, you find people there, right? But the other thing is that, okay, you find them, and I would say that they are pretty open. You can easily find people to talk with, especially when you worked on your trauma, you released a lot of trauma, you go out there, you don't need any kind of application, whether it's dating, whether it's just, what is it, meeting people for socializing, you don't need it. As long as you know how to talk, as long as you have the courage to go out, walk up, talk. In the beginning, even for me, like I've been doing this socializing, networking with people since 2000 and roughly 2016. That is when I started my journey on bettering myself. So I've been doing this for a lot of years, 10 years. I've been used to go up to people for 10 years, interact with them, network with them with any kind of intentions, right? Um, and Ethiopia, it made it difficult for me in the beginning because they were not that open in the beginning. And in how can I say, like, they were also, personally, I also felt that especially the women, they were very conditioned by their religion. Okay, it's beautiful, you see the cross, you see all those kind of things, amazing, right? They were conditioned and confused. It's like they want to hang out with you, right? They want to go out with you, but then there was this conditioning, and then in the beginning it came as a shock for me. I was like, okay, this is a new country. Okay, I need to like figure out how to do it, because every country has its own stigma, right? It has its own way of, okay, how to communicate, how not to communicate. Like, okay, this is my belief, blah 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 blah. When it comes to guys, like, okay, like I could go talk with these men, and we were just joking around. They were very open. They would just, even reach out to me, and there was nothing, right? Because when it comes to a guy, okay, they just wanna be friends, right? They just wanna hang out. But even with females who are just wanted to have a friends, it just faded away, right? Like there was this conditioning, and I'll go more into it. So, for example, when I went out with a woman in Ethiopia, right? Um let's like it's like they are, a lot of them are very much in their head. They're like thinking, okay, is this right or is it wrong, right? But first of all, you meet some of the females who are just very strict. They're like, but that is like a small group. They're just, okay, I believe in Jesus, I believe in God, and Jesus says that I cannot go out and do this. I'm very strict, purity. Hanging out with somebody like me, even though if I'm just a friend, okay, no, 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 it's not gonna work out. For example, I talked with one woman in the late hours, right? Not late hours, but getting dark, maybe at 7, 8, and then like, hey, what is the place to be at? And then she's like, no, no, I just came out of church. I don't, I don't, no, 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 I have to go home, I have to pray, blah, blah. I just see this woman, okay, like she was just okay, cool, she owned it. All right, she loves Jesus, she loves God, she's very strict about her life, respect. I met another one where I was going to this coffee place, sat down, and then I just chat with somebody next to me. Dude, pure, like she's like, yeah, nah, nah, I want to stay myself. I'm very pure, I love Jesus, I love God. There's something beautiful about being pure and strict. I could just feel on the vibe that this one is owning it. Okay, she's owning it. So I met some people, especially females, who are like that. Respect, hats off. Okay, they're on this path, amazing. Um, but I also met some other ones who, okay, they have the cross. They say that they state that they are orthodox, blah blah blah, right? And then I'm like, okay, then automatically I'm like, because I'm very interested in the culture, so I'm like, okay, let's talk about Orthodox Christianity. Okay, what is that? What is the difference between that and Protestant, being Protestant, right? And then okay, God, we talk about God, we talk about divinity, I talk about my view, and then this particular woman, she was like, no, 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 don't talk, don't talk. I'm getting triggered or something like that. I'm a sinner or something like that. So you also, so that is what is interesting, because I met another one. This is one example, right? And she was very like this woman. She was very okay. She was bearing the cross, and she did that. Like she could not be free, because she was a very free sexual being. But every time I brought God in, too, she was like, "No, don't talk about that. I'm, I'm a sin," and then she was just laughing it off. So that is the example, because I never really experienced that in the other countries I've been to, right? So that and another example is that I met some. I went to this church. Okay, they clearly believe in God. So I went there. I just mingled with it. So many people there. And then I met this one woman that I mingled with, and okay, we have a good vibe. Like, and then I talk with this woman, and like, and it's about New Year's Eve, right? And she's like, yeah, I meet up with her, we talk. But what happens is like I meet this woman, and she's like, hey, we ride together back and forth, and then she's like, I'm trying to invite her out basically, right? And then hang out with her and chill with her, right? And then she's like, that particular day that I'm gonna hang out with her is the 31st of December. It's like, hey, I cannot hang out that day. I was like, hey, it's all right. It's the 31st of December, New Year's. And then she's like, but you can join me. We're going to get some drinks. And already there, I'm like, what? Like, okay, drink. Okay, fair enough. I meet up with her. And this is a crazy story. Like, I meet up with her, and then it's only me and her. And she's like, her friends are coming later. And then she start drinking. I don't drink. I don't like alcohol. And then she start drinking, and it's a hard liquor, it's gin tonic, right? And they're like, oh, can you handle this? This is hard liquor. They're like, yeah, I can. And then they talk about God, like, because she's a church woman, right? So talk about God, da, da, da. And then later on we talk about dating, and then she just go completely degenerate, right? Like talk about sex, talk about all those kinds of things, drinking more. A friend comes in, they try to challenge me, and then obviously I talk about, okay, I'm like, why not? Let's just talk about dating, if that is what you're interested in. It's also fun. It's New Year's. Let's amp it up. If I get into the, yeah, we drive, and then we're driving. And again, like we didn't have that, like the women, they were not really drinking that much. So we're driving, we're inside the car, and then I'm like, okay, let's continue the vibe. So I'm just asking more about their dating life, you know. And then immediately the woman just get fired up. This woman, the church lady, the church girl, she's getting fired up. She's like, why only talk about that? I thought you were into God. I'm like, what? Like, yeah, okay, we talked about God, okay, fair enough, but is it wrong to talk about dating as well? You're the one who want to go out. You're the one who want to drink. You're the one who want to dance. You're the one who talks about dating, and now you're banishing me. And I was just chilling there, like, and then I'm like, and then she just completely go ballocks, completely like going crazy. And then I'm like, okay, this is okay. This is above my boundary. My boundaries getting crossed, and I get a little bit irritated because I cannot believe it. I'm like, is this for real, or is it just fun? What is going on here? Is it for real? This thing that is happening right now. She is really genuinely angry because I ask about, I just continue talking about dating, and she wants God. Like she getting triggered because we don't talk about God. Like she get triggered because I'm not this godly child, right? Who's this pure child, only talking about God. So at the end, I'm like, hey, listen, this is too much. Let's clean there. Let's stop the ride. Let's clean there together before we continue. I want to have a good time. You want to have a good time. Let's all have a good time. Let's all have a good vibe before we jump into the New Year's. And then it's not reciprocated, and then she continues, and this time starts to insult me. I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, okay, let's stop. And the other friend is nice. She's really, really sweet. She's very apologetic, and like she's like completely like, what is going on? What is blah blah blah, right? And she's shocked on her friend's behavior. And then I'm like, okay, stop the car. I'm getting out. I'm gonna find some other ways to celebrate the New Year's. As I usually do. Yeah. Oh, do I? Like I always have some plans, but I always have this mindset that okay, I'm gonna make the best thing happening for me. It's me and me and me. I'm gonna make this inner child have a great time, And then I hop off the vehicle. I'm like, okay, guys, I give them like a reprimand, and then I go out, and then I'm just talking with one of my other friends, and then they call again, and then the friend is very apologetic. She's very like, oh, I'm sorry, Jin, blah blah blah. I'm very sorry for my friend. I'm like, okay, I need to talk to the friend, And this is like about boundary, right? That you don't just pretend like nothing has happened. You confront. You're doing this for the sake of yourself, because you cannot just go in to heated like this, something like this, like somebody insulted you, somebody misbehaved towards you, and you just brush it off, like they try to pull you down, like you need to set an example. So I went into the car and like, okay, what is going on? We need to talk, we need to clear the air. And then they were driving, and then I was like talking, confronting, and this woman, she was like avoiding it. And then I'm like, okay, stop. Okay, if we have to go further, if I have to go with you into this event, let's clean the air, And then I just tell her, and then we stopped, and I made her listen, and then finally she also apologized because she didn't want to apologize in the beginning. Like, I feel really bad, blah blah blah, But then after that, I go into the event. Her friends also come. They also came. They also come. Arrives to the venue, and then I feel the vibe is a bit off. I'm like, hey, let's hug it out. It's all right. Let's have fun. I just feel it's a weird vibe. The friends are not that vibey either, And one of the friends is even being weird around me not drinking, and then I'm like, okay, we go into this designated area in the whole venue. They only stand there. They just want to drink. They just want to stand. They're like glued there, and then I'm like, do you know what? Let me just find some new ways of just meeting friends. So again, to boil it down, again another example around this conditioning, confusion around God. Okay, you are religious, or you are strict. You love God, but why is it that you're hopping around? Why can't you just be like the women that I told about in the beginning? Okay, stay there with God, be strict, but like being confused and conditioned, and like don't know what you want. Like you have a desire to be more free, more liberal. You can be more free and more liberal and do other things and still believe in God, right? We have different perspective of God, right? Like for me, in this, I'm like, because this woman even ended up smoking, so I was really, really surprised, right? So that's this. So in Ethiopia, I felt, and this is just like a couple of stories, there are even more stories, right? Like Ethiopia, I feel like there's a fair share of women who are just confused, like they're conditioned by this religious thing, But again, but there are also some good ones. I met some good-hearted females who just believe in God. They're still free. They're still nice, but it's still like, yeah, be aware, be aware of all this when you go to Ethiopia. You want to socialize, you want to date. Just stay with your own intuition, right? The only thing you can do is just be aware. So for me, because thank God, again, God's decision, God, with God's help, I don't drink. So I'm very, very aware. I'm much more aware about what is going on, what is happening, energies and stuff like that. Imagine if I were drinking, I would just have accepted. I probably would have accepted all this. I just laughed and teased, roasted this woman, or whatever, right? It's not good, or maybe even I don't know what would have happened, because if you drink alcohol, everything can happen, right? So because I didn't drink, I was myself. I could stand up for myself. I can be myself. I can have a good time with myself. Protect myself. Protect my energy, right? I think that is my few cents about my initial few cents about this. That people are a bit, yeah. You can find the good ones too. You can find good-hearted people. They believe in God. They are sane, lack of better other words. They're very serious. You can and you can build something amazing up with these women, or even friendships with men. In my case, right? Um, but be aware of this confusion. That is my hot take on this. Like Ethiopians, there's a good amount of them that are confused about the religious thing. They want to be the good ones, right? They follow Jesus, follow God, but they don't know about all these suppressed hidden desires. How should they control all those? You know, for example, again with this woman that I was with, like church woman, church girl, talk about God being very sane, and then do immediately talk about, she even said like, yeah, some very degenerate things, like about she was not really into black American men, and then then she met this black American man, and she really hit it off, and now she's wow, like she love him and all, she just loved that race because of that one experience, and he was really good in the bedroom and blah blah. It's like, come on, like just don't be two-faced, you know, don't be two-faced. So that, I think that pretty much sums up this aspect of Ethiopia, this confusion. But again, like you can find good people that are pure, that keeps the line, right? All right, I think that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. But I love it. I love when people are closer to God and they still have their brain. They're still sane. It's much easier for me to talk with people who are like that. Let's go.